Guess who's back?
Back
Back
again.
again. JT's back. Tell each and every one of your friends, tell them all that the Masters of Matinee are back. Happy Tuesday, Blues Day. I did have a question because I may be confused. Tuesday, Blues Day, or Blues Day Tuesday?
I think it's either or, man. It
Okay.
whatever strikes your fancy, whatever
Pink, yeah.
tickles your nipples.
Pink Day, Sphinx Day. You know what I mean? He's got. Hey guys, welcome back to the Masters of Matinee, the go-to podcast for all things physical media related. I am here. I am Teo, the Terminurtle, joined by JT, the talking head. He is the talking head, and you are the audience. I love that like tidbit that you do. I think that is freaking genius.
I I don't know, man. Sometimes I feel like I'm patronizing the audience by having to tell them what they are.
You are the audience.
in
You
case
stay in your spot.
in case you forgot, you're the audience. So
No, you know what? I feel like people need to be told that. I feel like everyone wants to be on stage now. And it's like, no, no, no. You are the audience.
says the podcasters with 60 viewers.
Right. Hey man, so you have created this incredible podcast and you have brought so many of the TikTok community together in one place, and you have given us a platform to give our like introductions out to people, but we want to give you that chance too. So this episode is going to be about JT. It's going to be about your love of movies. It's going to be about some of the projects that you have made, which I am so pumped to get into and to discuss. And then you and me are actually working on something of a project somewhere down the pipeline. So we have a packed podcast to get into. Let's just get started right now. Is JT your real name?
It's my initials.
Close enough. All right. This guy checks out. Okay. Let's go back to
Wait,
the
you forgot to swear me in. I didn't put my hand on the Bible and everything and swear in.
I don't have a Bible with me. I do have a copy of Kick-Ass.
I have
So
a
we move with that.
I have a copy of Pro Wrestling Illustrated somewhere behind me. Maybe a copy of Fangoria magazine or something. That'd probably
You
work, huh?
know, you know what? They say fake it until you make it, but I say bake it until you cake it.
That's a good saying. Bake it until you cake it. I baked some
I just
brownies
made
last
that
night.
up.
I made some brownies last night, and they did not turn out well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I followed the directions to a T on the box, cooked them exactly how they were supposed to be, and they ended up being nasty. Like they were hard and like almost like a brownie brittle.
Dude, I am not a bad cook. I'm not. I cannot make macaroni and cheese to save my life. I don't know why, and it's not just the pasta because I make killer spaghetti. I make killer chicken Alfredo and whatnot. Something about those curvy little bastards. I just I don't know what it is.
I always have to have my wife taste test the pasta before I put cheese in whenever I make macaroni, just because I don't like the texture of undercooked or overcooked pasta, so I make her try it first.
I do like slightly chewy pasta, but just ever so slightly chewy.
A little bit al dente.
Yeah. All right, man. How many movies would you say that you have in your collection?
God, that's a you and should I pick this bone with you? Because I remember literally probably 3 nights ago you were on podcast with, or not on podcast, on live with
Yeah.
Leo and Dustin and Steven, and somebody asked you guys how many you had. You all like kind of freaked out on them. You were like, "Why do people ask this question?" I think that I probably have around 400 Blu-rays, probably 600 DVD, and maybe 150, 200 VHS.
And when did this collection start?
Actively collecting when I was in middle school. So probably, oh gosh, well over 15 years ago at this point.
Okay.
um, that's like the safe bet. But really, I've been at it since I was a kid. I mean, my story is very similar to everybody who's been on this show, and it's that we all kind of grew up in an age before there was streaming. So if you wanted
Right.
to watch a movie, you had to either rent it from a blockbuster movie store or movie video rental store, or whatever, uh,
Mhm.
or you bought it. And so I ended up buying a lot of movies, and I remember as far back as I was a little kid. What do you want for your birthday? I want this movie. I want that movie. What do you want for Christmas? I want this movie, that movie, and nothing's changed through the years. Sometimes the movie collecting slowed down, and when I got into video games or when I got into pop figures, I have a disgusting amount of both of those, and pro
Yeah.
wrestling action figures and stuff. I have that collector's mentality because I collect all that stuff. I collect vinyl. Um, but
Yeah.
none of those collections are near as serious as my film collection. That is by far my biggest and my greatest and my favorite and my most passionate about collection, and it always has been.
Let me ask you, do you remember the first movie that was like gifted to you?
I do. Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets on VHS.
That's a
Uh,
good one.
Probably at my fourth birthday party.
Mhm.
My mom got it for me.
And do you still have like that particular tape?
Somewhere, but it's been up in storage in a garage, and
Yeah.
I really doubt like it's not taken care of. It's probably trashed by now.
Okay. Yeah, because like with me and my collection today, I don't do anything below Blu-ray.
Mhm.
Um, just because I like my stuff to look, clear, crisp. But I do keep a very small collection of DVDs where it's like, but this is the one that I watched. Like this is the specific, you know, copy that
Yeah,
I watched when I was a kid over and over again. Um,
yeah,
but
and
yeah,
I know that you have a Jurassic Park on Laserdisc too.
I do, but that was not from my childhood. I bought that on Facebook Marketplace, I want to say.
I'm jealous of that because I want a Laserdisc. Like I have a thing for dead media.
Yeah.
So I still actively collect VHS in thrift stores and stuff. Um, The only time I ever buy a DVD actively is through a thrift store if it's like super cheap, but it's a movie that even if I know it's got a like, for example, Red Eye came out the 4K through Paramount Presents, and it
Mhm.
piqued my interest, but I'd never seen it. But I found it in a thrift store like 3 days after it came out on DVD for 25 cents. So I was like, well, instead of throwing $25 at a Paramount Presents title that I don't know if I like, I'll check it out on DVD, and if I dig the DVD, then I'll buy the Paramount Presents title and upgrade it, and then throw
Right.
the DVD back into Goodwill. Um, but like I don't actively collect DVDs. Zed and I had a whole ass discussion on this. I think it was off the pod, but because his entire collection's built through thrifting, so he's got
Yeah.
mostly DVD. Um, and he's even yet to go to 4K. Not that I don't think he's against 4K. It's just that it's not it's not an active thing for him to collect for 4K. Um, but
Can um can you tell? Can you tell the like distinction?
yeah, um, now it really depends on the discs. Because some
Yeah.
discs, no, you really can't, especially if you're not looking for it. Like there are certain discs that, especially of older movies, like from the 80s and stuff. Like, if you watch like an 80s comedy or just a typical 80s action movie, something that's not like super visually stunning, but more just like typical of film, no, it's not gonna look that much different unless the scan is drastically different. Like there are movies that have had um scans that are like Blu-ray scans that are just scanned from the DVD copy and upres to 1080p, and those look awful. But
Yeah,
they've always looked awful. And so when you get somebody go in there with a 4K scan and it looks like the Blu-ray should have looked the whole time, but better. Um,
yeah,
the thing with resolution is that the human eye is fickle with it. So a lot of the time, like perfect example I'll give of that is the movie Dog Soldiers. It's a werewolf movie about a bunch of soldiers, and it's one of my favorite werewolf movies. And they get trapped in the woods with all these werewolves and stuff. And the Blu-ray copy of that movie was put out through Shout Factory, and they didn't have like any of. I don't think they had any of the original source material from it to scan the Blu-ray in. It was like all digital scanned over and over again from the DVD and everything like that. The Blu-ray looked awful, completely awful. And then Second Sight got a hold of the actual like original film elements, and they were able to do a 4K scan, and they worked with Scream Factory, and so now Second Sight in the UK and Scream Factory in the US released a updated 4K scan of that movie, and it looks incredible.
yeah.
Um, so it's really dependent on the disc.
That's so intriguing because I feel like you said that it was who did the Blu-ray that like came out terrible?
Scream Factory, but it wasn't really
Yeah.
their fault too much. It was because they didn't have the original film elements.
Right. But it's not like Scream Factory is going to like put that like, hey, this isn't like the most, up to date scan, which means that like if you don't know this stuff, if you're not in the know from talking to people, then it really is a roll of the dice with each kind of purchase.
Well, yeah. The fact is, it's always going to be like that when you're talking about about revising old movies.
Yeah.
Um, it's not like, yeah, the Blu-ray from Scream Factory of Dog Soldiers was shit, but like, it's not that. I mean, the DVD was probably shit too. That and Scream Factory didn't put out the DVD, or the original
Yeah.
DVD back in the day. Like that was probably their only thing that they had to reference from. So
Yeah.
it was just them doing the best they can, and the movie's a good movie regardless of the quality of it. Like, yeah, picture quality is important, but it's not as important as a good script, good acting, good direction, good cinematography.
Oh yeah.
You want what you're watching to look pretty, but at the end of the day, looking pretty means nothing unless the film that's behind the beautiful uh visuals is good. It's got to be good. So Dog Soldiers is a great film in my opinion anyway. I know that's
Yeah.
kind of debated, but um it's a great film in my opinion, and so I never owned the Blu-ray, but I would assume the DVD was just as shit too. So
Yeah. Um what is the reason for you continuing to collect in 2023 in the years of streaming in the years of digital? um what is it that keeps you consistently going with physical?
there is personal and technical reasons behind that. Personally, I love owning what I want to watch, which I know is a common answer, but I also have that collector's mentality. I love like a collector's edition box set. I love the boutique labels. I personally am really into the boutique labels. Like I'll buy studio movies, but if you guys notice on my channel, I don't buy many new releases. I don't talk about new releases. I didn't buy Avatar. I'm not going to buy Avatar. And it just came out today as the day of recording this. Um I but I got Mallrats 4K from Arrow coming probably tomorrow or the next day. Like
Oh no.
I like the boutique labels, Criterion Arrow and stuff like that. I buy hardcore into that. Um and so I really dig the whole collector's mentality behind it. I like having the books that have essays and artwork and stuff. I really treat them like a piece of art. I display them like
Yeah.
a piece of art. Um, I could spend that much on a painting, or I could spend that much on movies. My entire movie collection might be able to buy me one. I don't know who's a painter that's sort of kind of famous, like P. Buckley Moss or something. Might buy me
Yeah.
one P. Buckley Moss painting that or I could have 1,000 movies that are gonna probably last me through the rest of my life. Um,
Yeah.
and then the technical reason is that I live on top of a mountain in the middle of nowhere. Um, so it wasn't always this way. I've lived up here for about the last 10 or so years. Um, but we didn't have great internet. Like my internet speed for the longest time was about 16 kilobytes a second. And you didn't mishear that. Kilobytes, not megabytes.
Jeez.
Kilobytes. Couldn't game, couldn't stream, you couldn't do anything. It was slower than dial-up internet. It was literally there for if you needed to send a freaking email. Like, and you could barely do that.
Yeah.
So like I didn't have streaming. Like we had a Netflix account and we could sometimes get it to work kind of a little bit, but not really. Like it was like 240p when it would work. And so collecting movies and stuff was still a necessity to us. We didn't have the video stores to go to anymore because Blockbuster closed a long time ago, Movie Gallery closed a long time ago, and even still, those are in the town over, and still like a 20-minute drive to get to those. And so yeah, we just go to Walmart. I'm lucky. We still have an FYE here, even though their prices
Oh,
are insane. But our FYE still has a pretty banging movie collection, and their movies are going more toward the boutique labels. They're carrying a lot of Arrow and Scream Factory and stuff now.
yeah. It is kind of crazy because in a lot of ways you are living what has always been my dream, which was to live in an enclosed kind of like isolated area and just have a whole library's worth of like media.
You want to trade lives? Because I hate it here.
I mean, I don't know.
I I
We should.
I love my state. I love my state. I live in West Virginia. It's beautiful here, and the people. Let me tell you, the people, they don't get any kinder. We get a bad rep, but the people are amazing here. Um,
Yeah.
but man, our it seems like our like legislation and our government and stuff just does not want us to progress into the modern world. They actively are putting restrictions on dumb stuff on like internet stuff. Like there's no reason
Uh,
that half of West Virginia should be in a spat of internet. The only reason that I have internet right now that's good enough to be on a voice call with Teo is because of Elon Musk. I have that Starlink, that SpaceX internet.
there you go. Gonna take you straight to the moon. Um, I think if we ever ended up in a Freaky Friday sort of situation, I wouldn't be too mad. I think you may have to track me down before I'm like, wait, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't. I've never been to Texas, so I'd probably try to enjoy Texas a little bit before I left.
Shoot, man. As long as you got, two beef patties smothered in, cheese, you're doing pretty good over here.
From Whataburger.
From Whataburger, I need to get done with my Whataburger PlayStation plates.
Mm.
Um, but then I feel like every time I play PlayStation, I'm gonna be like, man, I need to eat. Like I'm like, you know what I mean? Like I feel like it's not gonna
You're doing the subliminal marketing to yourself, bro.
to myself. Whatever we come to, capitalism. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right, as smooth of a transition as I can possibly be. No, you know what? We don't do smooth transitions here. We do freaking Tokyo drifts. You used to, to upload projects
Hmm.
onto a YouTube channel, and I had the privilege of checking out a, a couple of them.
If
And might I just say, oh yeah,
if this video gets 100 likes, I'll release one of them on TikTok.
you heard it here first, folks. JT's sex tape is coming out to you.
Oh yeah. Mm. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Just do like I forgot what I was talking about. Yeah, no. So, and might I just say that you, sir, you are a filmmaker. 100%.
That's big praise coming from you because I've seen your stuff too, and I was blown away by it. I showed my wife the gift of the Backroads,
Oh yeah?
going through changes, and the trailer for what is it called? Andrew and Nicole. Is that it?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that one. She was blown away, and she wanted before. I know I'm sidebarring us, but she has a message for you. She
Okay.
said she watched that trailer for Andrew and Nicole, and I told you before that mirrors my wife and I's story how we met, right?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
So my wife and I met playing Xbox. I can't remember, we talked about this on the pod before. We met playing Xbox on Halo, and she's from New Jersey. I'm from West Virginia, and it took us about 10 or so years to actually finally get together. But she moved down here to be with me. So she told me that to tell you, quote, that son of a bitch stole our story, and if he ever capitalizes on it, he owes us royalties. So
Well, here's the thing though, is that Andrew and Nicole is a true story. That is the story of me. And someone that is not my wife, not to give away how the project ends. Um, but yeah, and I think that is even really beautiful that like we are not the only people that had that experience. There was something about being on Kick in like 2012, man, that I feel like there's quite a few people out there that have the same experience that both you and I did, and maybe they ended up with each other, like in the case of you and your wife, and maybe they went, in a different direction. But that would actually maybe be a topic for a great documentary.
yeah, it would be.
Um, but when I'm talking about my films today, we're talking about your films, and you have such a so I'm trying to think of how I want to phrase this. You have the magic eye. And what I mean by that is I have seen a lot of projects, seen a lot of teen projects, I've seen a lot of student projects. I've seen a lot of college projects. And what I have learned is it does not matter what cameras you have, doesn't matter what tech you have, it doesn't matter the script. Well, yes, that does, but the most important thing when making a movie, a short film, a spoken word poem, is some people have the magic eye, and some people just don't. And you, sir, you have the magic eye. In fact, when I started looking at your channel last night, in less than 2 minutes, I called you and I said, how did you pull off this incredibly detailed? Okay, so just for context, if you guys know what a vertigo shot is, it was coined by Steven Spielberg in the movie Vertigo, and then he did it again. Oh wait, no, he didn't direct. I think it was Hitchcock, right?
Yeah, Hitchcock was Vertigo.
It was Steven Spielberg who brought it back to the modern age in the film Jaws. Um, but it's where you move the camera towards a person while simultaneously going from a close up and you zoom out as wide as you can. And so it creates this sort of tunnel scope type look as the camera comes closer to your subject. And you had told me last night that y'all had kind of used this cheap, digital camera, but the camera's not important. You guys had the good sense to do that shot and do it in a way where it looked really great. It was a very clean and clear shot. And this is coming from somebody who for 10 years has tried to pull off a shot like that and has not been able to. Um, and then I watched your short film, The Last Goodbye, and the camera placement in that film, the way that it's not shot directly on, but it's shot tilted in a sort of Dutch angle. Um, and the use of putting the camera below people and then putting it at like level and then putting it slightly above that, just at specific choice points. And I apologize if I'm getting too you know techie, um but I'm just like, I was genuinely like impressed, and I am a fan of your content, and it was very, very, very reminiscent to me of a young Sam Raimi, um, which I know some people view that to be like an insult, but to me that is like a huge compliment. Um, so let me hear from you with these projects and with Twisted Figment, which is one more of your projects. What was the start of you being like, I want to make my own productions, and then what was that process like of planning it out, writing the script, getting a crew? What was it like to record that? Did you use a tripod, or did you just get like the closest person that you could to kind of, just, yeah, just, I would love to just hear what that period in your life was like.
So, Twisted Figment came from a almost um, religious experience of going through major depression, major anxiety, and finally getting up one day and being like, I'm sick of this shit and I want to go do something, anything. And I'd always loved movies and I'd always made videos online, um, but they were all like just video game based. Um, and so I'd seen Clerks from Kevin Smith a whole bunch of times. Um, but one day I was watching Clerks, which because it's one of my comfort movies to watch that. And one day I was watching it about 10 years ago at this point, and I turned on the bonus features, and Kev was talking about how he, in one of the features, how he like financed Clerks, and how he had gotten a half-assed, literally half, a film school education at the Vancouver Film Academy, and literally like quit halfway through, did not complete the course, went back home to New Jersey, sold his comic book collection, maxed out his credit cards, and for $27,000 made Clerks, the movie that captured the world in 1992, or at least the US, at least the working class US in 1992. And so I was like, it was literally a story of, well, if that fuck can do it, I can do it. So
Oh yeah.
I I at the time was playing in a garage band because I play guitar. I play a lot of instruments, but I was playing in a garage band with this guy named Matt Phillips, who, and to this day, I believe is probably one of the greatest guitarists to ever live. And I hope that one day he will go back to music. I don't think he's doing music right now, but he's a major, massive shredder guitarist, man. Um, and we were talking about the idea of making a short film or maybe even a full length picture. Um, and so Twisted Figment was kind of born out of that desire of me and Matt's friendship and wanting to do something different. The Garage Band was fun enough, but the this was something completely different. It was out of our realms. Matt had a camera, and he. I'll be clear in saying he we wouldn't have had that movie if it wasn't for him. Um,
Yeah.
he was. You want to talk about magic eye, man? That magic eye. Matt helped me on that picture in particular. Matt was the biggest collaborator with setting up those shots, and he was the biggest techie to help me figure out how to do those shots. Um, Unfortunately, I'm not in contact really with Matt anymore, so I'm sure he's not listening to this. But if he somehow ever does, thanks, Matt. You were awesome. Our film partnership there was great. So yeah, the script for that movie came from a place that I simply just really wanted to do something different. Um, I still maintain this belief that there aren't enough uh, women killers in horror. It it's one of those things where women are almost always the damsel in distress, and I am a sucker for a good female killer. I loved Pearl and X. When Ty West made Pearl, that was almost the message that I was trying to deliver with Twisted Figment 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Um, and I loved American Mary. Have you ever seen American Mary? It's a good body horror with a female slasher.
Okay.
Um, and so I really wanted a female killer, but I had to give her a reason to be a killer because it wouldn't have been smart to just have this high school girl go completely ballistic. Um, so it's also kind of religion based and that there are demons, and the whole thing is that it's personal demons. So there's three demons in the film. There are three brothers. Um, there's Shug. Um, I can't even remember the second demon's name. It's been so long since I wrote this stuff. I can't
Yeah.
remember the second demon character's name.
Which were all the different demons played by you?
Yes, and they were not supposed to be.
No, but that was really interesting because I did kind of pick up on the fact that, like, I think these are like different characters. At first, it was a bit hard to tell, but each one of them had a different type of like black paint
Mhm.
that was kind of put on them. That was interesting. And now this film, Twisted Figment, was unfortunately never um completed, but that's why I wanted to discuss this with you, because if we hadn't brought this up, I would not have known that it was like multiple, demons and multiple spirits. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, the demons are like think of them as personal demons. They're your inner demons. They're your innermost darkest thoughts. They're the ones that the intrusive thoughts that tell you to touch the hot stove, right?
Yeah.
They're the ones that hold the secrets that you hide from everybody, including yourself sometimes. So there's three main characters in the film. There's Marla Crane, who is the leading lady. And she's this teenage girl who's just graduated college or high school, and she's getting ready to go into college. She's got a mother breathing down her neck, and she suffers from depression and anxiety. And um, her personal demon is Shug, who is this like top hat wearing, um, deep voice, deep kind of guy, and he um is really the devil on her shoulder that tells her that it's okay to give in to the pressures and snap. And so through possession, quote, um he takes over her and possesses her, and that's it's quote Suge doing these acts. And then there is Chuck. Oh, the demon that's for Chuck is James. It's James. Um, so Chuck is this football player, jock guy, douchebag. Um, but he is not what he seems. Um, so he is trying desperately to get with Marla, but he doesn't actually want to, because deep down he knows that he's gay,
Mm.
and that knowing that and having to put on this facade of being, in football and trying to get a girlfriend and all that shit drives him
Right.
crazy. And that's when his personal demon James comes in to take over him. And James ends up taking it over to where Chuck snaps and they end up killing Marla. But Marla's not actually dead. Marla comes back, um, possessed as Shug after James and Chuck kill her. Now, the whole time that this is happening, James is being personified. Um, so the way that you can look at it is that it's kind of like a Fight Club thing. Marla, when she's around Chuck, would not be able to see James, but Chuck would be able to see James.
Right.
Um, so they kill Marla. Marla comes back, and then you have this third character, um, Cricket. And I want to sidebar on this real quick because Cricket was played by my good buddy Michael Cox. And Michael didn't know acting two ways from Sunday, but my God, I still maintain the belief that that man was born to act. I think he should have gone into acting because he was the only person we worked at that knew his lines left and right and knew exactly how to deliver them and take direction from a director,
Mm.
and actually understand, like, on a deep connection, what I wanted to see on screen, and he was able to
Yeah.
convey exactly that. Like, he was a director's wet dream. I couldn't have asked for anybody better. I wish I'd cast him in the lead, like,
Mm.
instead of the side character Cricket. But Cricket is he is in love with Marla, and he's her best friend in the world, but she kinda strings him along. Like, she has her own reasonings, like, but she's not innocent in it. Like, she kinda knows that she's doing it, and she doesn't wanna let go of him because, if she lets go of him, then she loses a friend, she loses somebody that's gonna pay attention to her and stuff and all that. And, her mother hates Cricket because Cricket does, like, he smokes, like, weed and stuff. He's a stoner. He's your typical, like, high school stoner, which is I wrote that character to be very reminiscent of Michael, as well, because that was his personality. Um, and so Michael's character Cricket, when Marla kills herself after she kills James and Chuck, gets her revenge. Um, she kills herself as a way to free herself from Shug's mind control, possession, whatever you want to call it, right in front of Cricket. And there was a scene, if you noticed in the scene, he's running down that gravel road and he's limping. And he's limping because what you didn't see is that a couple scenes earlier, Marla hit him with her car on purpose. She
Mm.
was possessed as Shug, and she hit him with her car. That was actually a scene that was in the script, but we never actually got to even shoot. Um, but so he's limping down, and Marla slices her throat open and kills herself. And then there's these cops that have been because Marla went missing whenever Chuck and James quote unquote killed her. So
Yeah.
there's these cops, Officer Bonet, but the partner Tracy keeps calling him Bonnet, which throughout the movie you don't really see that conveyed in the trailer, but throughout the movie it pisses him off and stuff. And so they're like these kind of Texas Ranger type guys, Walker Texas Ranger cops. Like, they're
Yeah.
the sheriff kind of guys. They don't wear police uniforms or wear a cowboy hat and have a big chaw in their jaw, and spitting and everything and all that. And they pick Cricket up and stuff, and then in the way on Cricket's way to jail is when Cricket's inner demon comes out, which is Kane, um, who is a kind of a double entendre personification of both Cricket's inner demons, and then also of Cain from the Bible, Cain who
Mm.
killed his brother Abel, um, because he appeared after somebody who was practically Cricket's sister died, and now Cricket is being blamed for the death. So Cain appears, tells him to free himself and kill the cops. So it's left ambiguous at the end there. If you see, it's one of my favorite shots where Cricket puts the gun to his head, and if you notice, his finger ever so slightly starts to grip and squeeze that trigger, and then it cuts. It's left ambiguous. And the truth is it would have been left ambiguous in the final film too. It never would have been. You never would have heard a shot. You never would have seen anything. Because I wanted it to be up to the audience to decide. And the message was, are your personal demons worth giving up your life to bow to?
I feel like there's a lot that we could do with that. I feel like there's a lot in that universe and a lot with that concept that is still left to be told. Um, in fact, you have sent me a treatment for a short film that we want to work on together and collaborate. And while I'm here listening to you explain sort of all these characters and their origins and where they come from, I'm like, does this new short film does this take place in the same universe?
Oh
Because I think
man,
that'd be pretty cool.
it would be. Everybody I know has been begging me to go and remake Twisted Figment. My issue is that it's one of those things like, and I'm sure that you feel this as an artist yourself, is when whether it is completed or not, when you are able to mentally move on from a project, you're moved on.
Oh
And
yeah,
I took Twisted Figment and I sulked on it for years, and I was like, man, I wish I could have finished this and blah blah blah. And then finally I just moved on and I did other stuff. And I was like,
yeah,
I'm happy with what we got. Like, it was an experience I wouldn't take back, and it was lessons learned. And so, I mean, I'm not opposed. Like, I will never say never. And if we want to try to, if it ends up working itself into the same universe, I'm not gonna be opposed to that. But overall, it's just one of those things where it's like, it happened. Um, I can tell you for sure though that the film The Last Goodbye takes place in the same universe.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
So let's actually get into that. Let's get into the last goodbye. Um, because this is the very last short film that you have posted on your previous channel.
hmm
This is not on your current channel. Was that a coincidence or was that done by choice?
Uh, Maybe subliminally by choice. At that time, everybody was kind of getting tired. I knew that we were going to be not making anything for a while.
Yeah.
Um, so it might have been subliminally by choice, but not, or unconsciously by choice, but it wasn't actively like I was never opposed to ending it. Um, but at the same time, too, I'm not sorry that it ended. Like, that channel and stuff was all fine and dandy, but it was a collaboration with a bunch of friends from high school that, just it's whatever.
Yeah. Um, One thing I love about your films is how like open to interpretation um that they are. And I would actually like to see kind of a more up to date, like a more like revitalized version of The Last Goodbye because you have this person walking out to this grave and it really is just sort of like a one man sort of monologue of, I guess, what they wanted to sort of tell this person. But I absolutely love how there's a part where you have a bottle of liquor, and you see a person's hand and arm reach into the shot and take it. But the way that I kind of interpreted that is that was all sort of within his own sort of consciousness. Is that the correct way to sort of take that, or?
You can take it however you want, man. All of my like I said, man, everything that I make is pretty ambiguous, and it's up to the audience to fill in the gaps. There's a all I will say is there is something to be said about the film being shot in first person from a dead man.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
everything was meticulously placed in that shot from because if you notice, like from the moment that the man steps up to the grave to the moment he walks away, everything is very meticulous from the way that the when he hands the dead man the bottle, it's about three quarters full, and when the dead man hands it back, it's less than a quarter full. And the joke there is that the man was always an alcoholic.
mhm,
And so that could leave the interpretation up to, well, did this man drink himself to death? Is this a sad death? Is this a, the man's there. It's been 15 years since he's seen him, since the man died. So,
yeah,
and then the vape pen, I wished it was a cigar. We didn't have any cigars. I just had a vape pen on hand because looking back now, handing a dude a vape pen, a little bit cringy. but, but, um, yeah, he like even the way that he smokes it, and you can kind of see a little bit of the vape coming up, the cloud coming up in the air in front of the camera and everything. So when the man walks away, and then if you notice the camera pan, it's like it's panning like the dead man is sitting up in his grave and looking at his friend walk away from him.
yeah,
Um, and then we turn around and look back, and there's nobody at the grave. So it's really you can get out of it whatever you want from it. I intentionally left it like that to where people could kind of pull whatever message they felt they needed to pull out of it. Um, I think my message was to the world about in that film was that it's a zombie film that's not a zombie film. You know,
yeah,
I like the idea of thinking about somebody that you miss so much and then imagining it so hard that it's almost like they're there in front of you. I don't know if you've ever had any like serious loss in your life like that, like a parent or anything, but like when you do, it's almost like you see them everywhere you go and you know that that's not them and you know
yeah,
it's not real. And so it's, you know, you can get I get things out of it here 8 years later. I get different things out of it than I did when I intentionally made it in the first place.
yeah. Let's go ahead and jump over to your current channel, which is at JT Petri. Um, and your most recent project is a spoken word poem called Just Be Honest. And there was a lot in that that really hit home and really hit hard with me and really connected with me. I understand a lot of the points that you were trying to make. And I'm right there with you on a lot of the things that, get you pissed off. And a lot of the things that you're like, why can't we be more honest in regards to this or to that, or why can't we view the world in a different way than we've kind of been trained, um, to kind of take it all in. With that poem, was that written prior, and then you kind of wanted to add like a more like visual kind of component to it, or that like always intended to kind of be like a short film spoken word poem, you know? Or
So the development of it was last semester because this I released this a few months ago. Um, like when Teo says it's my newest project, it is my newest. It's only a few months old at this point. Um, I'm in college right now for a business management degree, and even throughout the degree, you have to do English classes. So I was in English 2 last semester. It's my last English class of my degree, and we covered a lot of poetry. And there was a bonus assignment. It was like 10 extra points if you write your own original poem. It could be about anything that you wanted it to be. Just write a poem. And so I didn't even need to do that. The bonus points for it didn't affect me. Like I already aced the class, but I did it for
Mhm.
fun. And so I was like, I'm gonna write this, but I don't know what to write it about because I've written poetry before. Never published any
Yeah,
poetry, but I write it for fun in my own time. Um, so around that time that I was kind of thinking about doing it, there was a little movie that came out. And I doubt any of you have ever heard of it. It's super small. It's called The Whale. You know, it won this award though. It's called a freaking Oscar.
I'm pretty sure my mom's cousin's dog's best friend recommended this to me.
Yeah, like not a lot of people heard about it. Went really under the radar. Do you remember Brendan Fraser from Encino Man? Like,
Jordan the Jungle?
yeah, the freaking mummy. Like he hasn't
I
done
thought
anything in
he
years, and he was
died.
in this. Yeah, like he did this, and it's like it's all whatever. So yeah, this little tiny indie film called The Whale by this filmmaker named Darren Aronofsky. Um, really inspired me because there's this scene in it. Have you seen it first of all?
I haven't. I've been wanting to watch it.
Okay, I'm gonna try to teeter around spoilers here because it's really good. You need to watch it.
Okay.
Matter of fact, it's probably one of my favorite films that's ever been released. Um, so there's this scene where Charlie, the main character, is having a meltdown, and like the premise, right? Like that
Oh yeah.
he's
Yeah.
going into like congestive heart failure and pretty much gonna die because he won't get medical help.
Yeah.
Like that's explained like very in the beginning. So I don't come at me for spoilers. It's literally the plot of the movie. Um, so he is having a meltdown, and he's a teacher. He's an English teacher online. Like he does online courses. And one night during a meltdown, he sends an email out to his students and says pretty much like, fuck the assignments, just write something honest. Just be honest with me. Write something from your heart. Just be honest. And so I was inspired to just be honest and put into poetry how I really felt because in this world, and I'm gonna get a little bit socio-political here. It's not the intent of this show to get that way, but in this world, I truly feel like art is overly suppressed by um, over moderation of the social system in our world. Twitter and TikTok and all that. As much as I love TikTok, and it's not a liberal or a Republican thing. It is a people don't know how to deal with other people and they don't know how to leave other people alone thing. And
Hmm.
the way I see it anyway. But nobody can take just leave me the fuck alone for an answer. You can't let people be. Everybody has to push their own personal private agendas on the world. And that's really where that film came from because it's a world that we're living in that is so driven by connection. Um, we're evolved apes. We do not have the mental capacity to be talking right now um, to each other. It's amazing that I'm sitting in my bedroom talking with Teo, and we're talking from West Virginia to Texas, let alone when I talk to friends in California or across the world in Europe, or we have TikTokers in our community that are from freaking Australia. Like, it's insane that we can communicate right now. But that communication, as well as the aspects of different social backgrounds and different political backgrounds, make it to where when somebody else appears on your screen in front of you with a different social background, it offends you. because they might see things differently and might express those different feelings in a way that is completely foreign to you. And so that was kind of the whole message of just be honest is that, and I said it at the end, the world could be so beautiful if we weren't so connected. And
Mhm.
I truly believe that, because another message too is that because of all this stuff, because of social media, because of constantly being connected, because of the 24-hour news cycle, we are always exposed to negativity 24/7. Scrolling through your TikTok FYP, you're going to come up on a video about, like, we might be on Film Talk one day just talking about movies and stuff, and then scroll to the next video and it's a protest for a cop that shot a black man, or it's people crying because of a school shooting, or what have you. It's these stories used to be isolated to once or twice a day on the news, and then the people who wanted to hear the news would tune into the news. Now it's fed to us whether we want it or not, unless we completely disconnect ourselves. And to me, that's a problem, because social media is useful. It's very useful. Right now, what we're doing is useful and it's productive and it's good for our own mental healths to have conversations like this and make this show. But if I go to TikTok later today and I'm scrolling through and I see something that's really disturbing, then it might ruin this whole vibe of the day that I'm having. And that's a problem. And that's what that film was about.
Yeah, and that's happened to me plenty of times where I have woken up and I have gotten out of bed and I was like, I'm gonna grab a thing to eat. I'm gonna be on TikTok for like a tiny little bit, and then I'm gonna, jump into whatever plans I have. And in that like 2 to 5 minute time span that I'm on TikTok, I find out about something taking place or somebody that was killed in a way that was not, just or whatever the case, and that 2 to 5 minutes turns into like 2.5 hours of me like diving into the whole story, watching the most up to date, stuff. And yeah, no, I definitely understand what you mean, and I get where you're coming from, and that's one of the reasons why I started making TikToks and why I love the whole, movie talk and film talk community. And this was a thing that you and me were talking about last night. But like, we can just love movies, you know? And you are absolutely right that, like, me and you come from two different walks of life, and like, and I don't know all of your beliefs on each and every topic, and you don't know my beliefs on each and like every topic. But we can both agree that, that Terminator 2 is incredible,
Yeah.
and none of the other stuff is important when we're talking about Terminator 2,
Hmm.
or when we're talking about this film or that film, or
Hmm.
and um
Well,
and that is, yeah,
let me preface too by saying I don't give a shit what you believe in. I don't care.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, I don't
No, well, yeah,
like you or anybody, it's this way for anybody that I speak to. I don't care what your religious backgrounds are. I don't care what your race is. I don't give a shit about your sexuality or your gender orientation or identity. I don't care. It doesn't bother me. Your beliefs, your lifestyle does not affect me in any way. What you do in your own private time in your bedroom has zero effect on my life, so I don't give a crap. All I care about is if you spend your life being a kind person and making sure that whenever you can, you put that kindness into the world, then you got my respect. You got my love and admiration. Like, that's all I care about.
yeah, yeah. Well, and let me, I guess, sort of clarify that it's not like if I knew your beliefs that it would change my outlook on you or my view, because I think people are their like actions. And so it's just like you were kind of talking about. Yeah, like if you're being kind, if you're spreading positivity, then all the other stuff isn't as crucial as we're kind of made to believe. But yeah, no, so if you guys are listening right now, I would definitely recommend y'all go check out JT's YouTube channel. Hopefully it will be linked below. And because we got a little bit of time left. Let's go ahead and dive into this treatment. So just to catch you guys up to speed, me in my current state of Texas, I have a good plot of land that belongs to some people that I am close to, and I've brought up the idea of like, hey, like we should use this to make like a short film project. And I've spoken with them, and they were like, yeah, like whatever you want to, whatever you want to like do, you have complete access. And the property consists of tons of trees, a pond, multiple clearings, multiple campgrounds. It's a big space. And so I wanted to use this as an opportunity to bring the TikTok community closer together. I wanted us all to collaborate on one project, and we all love movies, and the majority of us, like JT and like me, have have gone out with a camera and tried to make our own projects that were inspired and influenced by the movies that we love and the movies that we like enjoy. So I put this out on my TikTok and said like if you guys have any like concepts, like please let me know because I want this to be as like collaborative as possible. And you were one of the first people to actually respond.
I think
And
I
you
was
just
the
put
first.
yeah. And you just put 3 words that gripped me so hard. You said, or 2 words? 3? I don't know. You said Western slasher. And I was like, oh, hell yeah. That sounds freaking incredible. And so I reached out to you and was like, hey, can you kind of give me like a more kind of like fleshed out sort of concept? And you sent me this 2-page treatment, which I want to pull up, so I just have it as reference. Um, but I want you to kind of I want to give you a chance to kind of explain it in your own words to the people. But like, what was your what was your concept for this like Western gritty slasher film, which you kind of touched on previously about wanting a female killer, um, which I agree 100%. I think that would be incredible.
So yeah, my thing is that it's a revenge story, but it's not a revenge story for um well, let me ask you this, Taylor. Do you want me to like if we end up going with that concept, do you want me to add the spoilers in? Because there is some stuff in there that are pretty spoilery.
Yeah, like so to me, it's not about like keeping it a surprise, but it's more about like come with us each and every step.
Okay. So
So yeah, okay, yeah.
the overall concept is a revenge story for feminism. It's a trope in horror films. Look at films like I Spit on Your Grave, Last House on the Left. Women get mistreated, they get sexually assaulted and raped. Um, they get brutalized, and then they take their revenge, right? So the reason this is not a personal revenge story, but a revenge story for feminism is that this story gets its revenge before anything bad happens to the woman. Um, so essentially, the plot that I came up with is that a we're in post Civil War American South in Texas, and historically, after the Civil War, the South got the shit into the stick. I mean, not saying they didn't deserve that, but they did, and it caused a lot of hard times for people. And that's what kind of led to the rise of the Wild West and outlaws and stuff, uh, robbing and pillaging and stuff because it was desperation. So you have this group of men who go to a ranch under the guise of becoming cowpoke, ranch hands, to help this farmer who is a former, I think that I say captain in the Union cavalry,
Yeah.
from Pennsylvania, and he moved down to Texas after the war. And so he's there with his daughter and his wife. I guess we don't really explain what happened to his wife. He doesn't have a wife anymore, I guess. Um, so he hires these ranch hands, but these ranch hands are not ranch hands. They're a band of outlaws, and they have this plan to uh kill the farmer and his daughter and rob them and take everything they have and ride off into the sunset with their loot. And the daughter overhears them planning it one night. Um, but the whole thing is left ambiguous. We don't know this that she heard them, and so but she does know, and they are also talking about doing all sorts of nasty things to her. So slowly, one by one, the men start disappearing in gruesome ways. There's a slasher on the loose. My idea was to build the slasher in a way where you stuff them or something, make them look very manly, make it look like maybe it's the farmer who's the
Yeah.
slasher. And then at the end, in the final showdown, the killer takes off their mask and it's actually the farmer's daughter that's been doing these crazy things. And I'm talking about, let's make her do absolutely nuts kill stuff that you would see like Jason Voorhees do. Let's have her get some kind of supernatural type like strength and be able to
Yeah.
throw these guys around, like she's got to be big, you know. Uh and it's not that's not going to be an easy feat to pull off, but I think that if we can pull it off, that would work well. Because then at the end, it's revealed that she was the one who overheard them talking about that, and she was the one who was taking her revenge before she'd even been actually slighted. And I think
Yeah.
that I like that idea just because it gives her reason to do it, but it's all a protection instead. It's all preemptive instead of revenge.
So I really love that concept. I love how you said it's a revenge story for feminism. It's a revenge story for the classic horror movie tropes, which I am not big on. Um, there is a there was actually a screenplay that I was writing, and I want to turn it into a novel. But the lead is a woman who has a bloodlust and who wants to go on this killing spree. And I had workshopped that screenplay with a couple of people, and they all were like, she needs to have like something happen to her, like she needs to get raped, or she needs to kind of have some sort of trauma. And it's like, no, like I don't want to like do that. That's not crucial for this character to be realistic or believable or intimidating. And so I'm really picking up what you're putting down here.
Yeah, I mean, like the thing is, the simple fact of the matter is that women can snap just like men can. There are women serial killers out there, in real life. And so some of them, sure, it's probably caused because of trauma and stuff, but some of them just, I don't like using this term, but they ain't born right. There's something chemically imbalanced in their brain that makes them have these antisocial tendencies. Um,
Yeah.
like take I mean, this isn't a female example, but take Dahmer for example.
Oh yeah.
His problem was mostly sexual regression and oppression. And had he had somebody to come and be like, "Hey, it's okay to be gay," probably wouldn't have killed anybody. If he had grown up in this day and age where we're currently in Pride Month, I don't think that Dahmer would have snapped. Like, I think that there was a reason for that, and it was traumatic. But then there's also there's just those people that just are not chemically right in their brains that are just crazy. Like, I don't like the word crazy, but they are. They're nuts. And so I think that you can have a story about that. I think you can have, a story where the lead is just absolutely batshit insane. I mean, look at the
Yeah.
Joker. Look at the Joker. We don't know his backstory, but
Yeah.
he's crazy. We don't know why he does what he does, but he does it.
So here's kind of where like the universe connection stuff I think could maybe come into like play, because I like the concept that you're talking about when the killing is taking place, it is this like big spirit, right? Um like you're not going to be able to tell that it's the daughter. Um I would like for something at the end where she's revealed to be the killer. She kills the last of the like outlaws. Um, and then you hear her talking to like a like spirit. And then if we could get some like voiceover, I would love if you did that like hug type of like voice. It's like very like reminiscent of a like Venom to me, and like it may not have like physically been her that was doing all of this. Like it may have just been her like controlling this like spirit or like whatnot. But
Or
like I don't know. Yeah.
or what if you made it like your portrayal? So like these outlaws are noticing their friends going missing in such a gruesome way, and they're getting picked off one by one. So what if throughout the film we show this big meaty character, and that's from the outlaws' perspective of what they're seeing
Yeah.
getting that's killing them. So because they've built it up in their heads as like they're so far from the belief that a little girl could kill them like this, you know.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
they've built up it would take a monster to to do these acts, and so like what if it's like that, like where and then at the end like you could have a scene where it's kind of flashing like maybe from the last outlaw's perspective. He's laying on the ground, killer's slowly moving toward him with like an axe or some shit, and it's like flashing in and out like you see like a scene of the killer, and then it flashes and it's the farmer's daughter covered in blood, drenched in blood and stuff, and then it flashes back to the killer and flashes back to the farmer's daughter. And
I think that's awesome. Yeah. Yeah. Like 110%.
do you think that's doable?
Oh yeah. Now, a thing that I think may not be doable, but it's an easy workaround. We may have to modernize it. Um, so this property, I know that they just renovated like literally everything. So like I did go there like 2 years ago, and they had like this really old like rustic cabin. And I went there like a month ago, and it looks like a brand spanking new house. But if you look at a movie like Logan, and the scene where the Wolverine clone, comes into the people that they had a dinner with and like all that. That's a very Western film that takes place in the like a
Do you-
current age.
is there a barn?
There is a barn, but the barn is renovated as well.
Okay, that's not a big deal. We can still keep this in Western time. We just don't use buildings. You don't need buildings. You don't need that to portray a time period. We could set up. We could have their. we'd have the outlaws camping instead of sleeping in the barn or something or sleeping in the house. They could have a camp set up. We could get some sheets, some bed sheets and sticks, and make some makeshift tents
Yeah.
and put a
Yeah.
campfire up and stuff, and that's their little camp. And then when they meet the rancher, the captain from the cavalry, they don't
Yeah.
have to beat at the house. They could, you know, he could meet him out in the
Well,
field, and it could be suggested that that's like the front of his property, like the end of his property.
yeah, and like we can have him be like, if like, oh, like if you boys like need anything, I'll be out like in the like big house.
Mhm.
But the big house never has to be on screen.
Yeah, it's a character driven story. It's not, and it's a world driven story. You don't have to have buildings for it. Um,
Yeah.
Another thing that I was wondering too, there's ghost towns all over America, that like little like towns that are preserved from the Wild West, and they're you know set up for touristy stuff. I
Yeah.
wonder, because there's got to be a ton of them in Texas, man. Because Texas was like the
We,
mecca of that.
yeah, dude, I have been to a freaking a ton of them.
So I wonder if we could get a hold of one of those and be like, kind of ask for permission to go and film in one, like after they close or something. Say we're doing a film or whatever, and I don't know if we'd have be able to get the permission or not, but I mean, it might be worth looking into, because you could do like an opening scene in a Wild West town to just kind of do the setting, and you have
Yeah.
the outlaws and stuff there, maybe doing their planning or whatever in a saloon or something. I don't know, man. Like, I mean, I
No,
just know
yeah,
these kind of ghost towns exist all over our country, so it
no,
might be
yeah,
worth
dude.
looking into.
Um, there are places on the outskirts of where I live. It's a bit of a drive, but if we go down to like Galveston, there's a shit ton of old buildings and ghost stuff and I mean all that. Yeah. And then the property is closer to like San Antonio. I want to say, and San Antonio is freaking stocked with ghost stuff. Have you ever heard of the train tracks? So in San Antonio, there are these ghost train tracks. And the way that the story goes is there was a school bus that essentially broke down on the train tracks and it was packed with kids and they couldn't move the bus in time and the train came and it killed them. And if you go park your car on top of the train tracks and put it in neutral, the kids will push your car past the tracks. And if you put baby powder on the back of your car, you when they push it, if you walk back there, there will be prints and things like that. And
Nice.
we have done it before. It's been a while since I've been there, but yeah, no, man. If you come down here, which is a thing that we have kind of talked about, but if you come down here, man, there's some spooky shit.
Hey, if I can afford it, I'll be there, man. That's what I'm.
I Yeah.
You're looking to shoot this win.
Around January.
Okay. So
Um,
so
so
half a
I
year or so.
yeah. Yeah. So I want to give ourselves plenty of time to write the script. I'm kind of already doing casting in my head because I know a few people. Like the dude to play the like old man, the like rancher. Like I have him down. Um, I have down one of the outlaws that I've worked with on a previous project and just. Yeah, man, I got some good ideas. And then I definitely want to discuss this a lot more with you. I know we're running out of time right now. Um, but I want to dive in with this with you more and we can do it and record it for a podcast or if you would just want to chat. Um,
I'm sure that we can do both, just chat and flesh it out more on the show and stuff. I
yeah.
definitely want to be more involved, man. I mean, I can help you direct it too, if you would like my help
Yeah.
with that. Um, but one thing I was thinking too, What do you think about making it a grindhouse style movie?
I would have to watch more Grindhouse
I can give you
because
some recommendations.
oh yeah, please do. You did recommend one to me not too long ago. Uh what was it called? The one that you had watched on your TikTok.
Was it Girls' School Screamers?
Girl School Screamers. That was it?
That's not so much grindhouse as it is just cheesy. Um,
Okay.
I would recommend to go for more of the aesthetic. It's more of okay. That fan made music video you directed for "She's Long Gone" by the Black Keys.
Yeah.
That aesthetic, where it looks like it's shot on film and it's dirty and it's nasty
Okay.
looking. Like, not to
Yeah.
say that in a negative way. That's just like you have
No,
like
oh,
a
no,
lot of
no, yeah,
filmic
yeah.
elements in that
Yeah.
video. It looks great. That's visually that's my favorite thing that you've done is that music video
Oh, cool.
because it's my style. It's grimy and it's grungy and it looks dirty. And it's supposed to because that's the theming of that video. Um, I'm talking like that. Like let's make it look like it's shot on like 70 millimeter film. You know,
We should definitely, yeah. I think that'd be cool. Whenever we've talked about it, I picture more like of a you mentioned not Pearl, but what's the other one?
X.
Yeah, so that was kind of more of the style that I was picturing. But I'm totally down to try Grindhouse or to maybe even do like a Grindhouse cut that maybe is like that maybe includes a lot more blood, right?
Right.
Or like includes like the really gross stuff.
That was
But then
a
we do a like, you know.
that was another thing that I was thinking is how gory do you want this to be?
So this is something that you and me had talked about last night as well, because you, sir, are a king of gore.
Oh, stop
And
it.
and that is something that I always wanted to do. I just wanted to get fucking gross with it, dude. I wanted to have, people cutting their jugulars and intestines. And I actually learned a lot about filmmaking from a YouTube channel called Film Riot. Um, and they have a lot of tutorials on practical gore stuff. And because I was, born in and raised in the particular home that I was, my parents would never let me, purchase gallons and gallons of fake blood and, things to use to make, guts and intestines and brains. And I think the bloodiest thing I did is I did do a film where we tore out like a dude's heart, and it was literally it was literally a like uncooked piece of chicken that I just that I essentially stole out of our fridge when I came home when I came home that night. My like mom was like, Where did our chicken go?" But
That was Shady Voices, right?
yeah,
Yeah, I like that one.
so So now that I'm an adult and I can spend my own cash on whatever I want, yeah, let's go very practical with this. Now I'm not saying let's go like to like Terrifier type stuff. Um, but let's explore that. Let's get some practical effects. Let's get some latex. Um, I wanna squish an eyeball.
Do you know anybody who can do like makeup effects?
Oh yeah, tons.
Okay. So
Yeah, yeah,
see,
yeah.
with all the effects in mind, if you notice, it was all just blood. Like we never used any like gory intestine type things. The closest thing we ever came to was there was a scene in Twisted Figment where the dude gets his leg stabbed by a screwdriver, and with that, it was
Mm.
literally just a close up of some blue jeans, and we stuck a cantaloupe in the blue jeans and stabbed a screwdriver through it.
Well, and it's not hard to do that stuff either.
Yeah, no.
Like you just get some latex, you build like a little, you know, a pile, you kind of poke it in there and you put on some blood and like you're good.
Hmm.
No, yeah, so one of the cool things about growing up where I did is I actually do know a lot of people that do that type of stuff. So we're good. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like this will look like it had a budget. Um, which
What is like the budget you're shooting for?
500 maybe. Um, $500 for like a 5 to 7 minute, you know. Uh,
That's ambitious.
huh?
That's ambitious.
That's true, but we already have most of what the expensive budget would go to.
Yeah.
Like we already have cameras, already have microphones, already have lights, and we have a location that we don't have to pay for. So that $500 is literally costume and blood.
So
Like
I'll tell you how we're going to source our costumes, right? You're going to go to the closest town that's near to a bunch of farmland, go to Goodwill, and you're going to find a bunch of old farmers' clothes.
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, and okay, so this is gonna make Texas sound weird as shit. Um, in public schools here, we have like country days. So like literally like if you go to literally anybody's house in Texas and go in their closet, they have like a pair of like overalls and a cowboy hat
To,
because we grew up with like country days.
to be fair, that sounds exactly like something I would expect from Texas.
But that's the thing is that Texas is not what most I have straight up been asked non like ironically if we like ride like horses here. And it is true that sometimes when you're driving down the street, you'll see somebody that is walking on a horse. It's not the most unusual thing in the world, but it's not like we all own our own. Like, I don't think I know anybody that owns their own horse still. I knew people that had them growing up, or they had them as part of a like school program, because we do like a farm program. I don't know if you guys um do that, but there is a class you can take in school where they give you a like cow and you have to like take care of it.
Not to my knowledge.
No, dude. So okay, this is a total tangent. So this class, which is an elective, but you can have like a cow, you can have a pig, you can have chickens, and you take care of them for 1 year, and then at the end of the school year, you take them to a like auction, and people purchase them, and then you can use the you can use that cash to put towards school, or if you want to use it to then purchase a cow again and kind of start over, you know what I mean? You can. Well, so that's not a class that I did, but I did do yearbook, and I went with them to like take pictures, and during the like auctions I would look into the eyes of the cow or whatever, and I swear to you they could tell, they knew, like, yeah.
That's kind of hard. You figure the kid would get attached to a cow and stuff like that, taking care of it all that time.
I think they like beat it out of you. I
Uh,
think like when you begin the like class they get like stick and they're like your cow's gonna die, and no, I'm just kidding.
your cow's gonna be a burger one day.
But no, but yeah,
Mark Wahlberg is buying your cow tomorrow, and you could go and see him again, but you gotta eat him.
if you want to see your cow, you can pay $10.20 like the rest of us.
Give that cow money to Mocky Mock.
We should do a whole podcast on just the things we do in Texas schools.
Here I am thinking that it's a requirement if you go to Texas, you got to ride a horse, have a 6 shooter, and wear a 10-gallon hat. But I'm glad that you stomped that misconception.
Well, you do have to wear a 10-gallon hat.
Okay,
That is true.
well, the first time we ever do a video podcast version of this show, you have to wear your 10-gallon hat.
Oh, where is it? It's in storage or something.
I'm not letting you come on video until you're wearing it because, like, I don't want to get fined by the Texas, governors or anything like that. Like, I need to make
That
sure
is
that
true.
everything's overboard.
Two beef patties smothered in jalapeno sauce. This podcast has been brought to you by the Texas cowboy hats of Texas. Um, I support this message, and if you are in Texas, you will get your free Whataburger hat. And I don't know where I was going with this. Guys, we hope you enjoyed this podcast. We enjoyed you enjoying this podcast. Did you enjoy us? JT, let the people know where they can find you at.
I am always available on TikTok at JT the Talking Head, on YouTube at JT the Talking Head, but you could probably find me better by just searching JT Petry. That's JTPettry. And on Letterboxd, JT Talking Head, no thee there. Do you do Letterboxd, Teo?
I don't. I feel like it's like Snapchat. I didn't jump on the trend when it was cool, and now it is too late to join.
You have to do it. You have to do it. Teo is going to have a letterbox by the time this comes up. And I'll tell you why. I just started it myself. I've only done about 7 films reviewed on there. And you don't
Oh,
have to go super in depth. You can just be like,
yeah.
I liked it. But you have to do it because we have to make sure that all the masters have it because Drew has one and so does Zed. So you can't be the odd man out, Teo.
My letterbox will be Pinky Nips 25. Um,
I think it should be the Texan Terminurtle.
the Texan Terminal, the Texan Terminurtle. You can find me on all platforms except for Letterbox
Oh,
at Terminurtle. That is Terminurtle. Terminurtle. What is a Terminurtle? It is a Terminurtle. What is, you can tell it's a Terminurtle because of the way that it is. It is a Terminator turtle. I didn't think I had to spell that one out for so many people. You'd be surprised. They're like, "What is your name? Like, what is it?"
well, first started searching you up, I would spell it Termin Turtle. I
Terminator.
put that extra T in there.
A small tidbit. Before one of my best friends in the world, Brady, had the good sense to tell me, "Hey, you should probably go with Terminurtle." My name was almost the Turdinator, and I wanted it to be Turt, like a turtle, but it sounded like turd.
Every time I think of your name, I'm just like Teenage Mutant Terminurtles, Teenage Mutant Terminurtles, Turtles in a Hash Shell. I'll be back. Cowabunga, dude.
Why is that not the theme song at the beginning of every one of my podcasts? Wait, the Masters of Matinee need a theme song.
So I was at because I know that you do music and I know that you rap, and I
Yeah.
was going to actually ask you if you wanted to do that. I was going to ask you. I'll leave this on air, but I was going to ask you off air, so the audience didn't know yet. I was just going to have it pop up one day and be like, "Yo!" But they might let's have them see the genesis of this if you would like to do that.
I will only do it if I can rap in my best Vanilla Ice impression.
Okay,
It's the
well,
Master of Matinee. You know what I mean? Like, no, I'm just kidding. It will be good.
all I can say to that is ditch that zero and get with the hero.
There you go. There you go. So yeah, I think that Vanilla Ice, um,
Let me
That's
put it this
already.
way: I unironically enjoy Vanilla Ice.
Oh yeah.
I won't show
You-
no shame for that. I unironically enjoy ice.
Well, this has been a great podcast, guys. We really.
Thank you for listening to Terminurtle's last podcast with us.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Shut up,
Why
dude.
did you?
You eat at the restaurant from Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch. Come on, bro.
Why did you leave me in charge? Okay, so before we started recording, JT was like, "Yeah, so if you just want to do like a freaking quick outro, that's totally cool." It's now been like 10 minutes and we're just like rambling on. I have become unhinged with power.
Tell them where they can listen to the podcast. All the platforms.
You can listen to the podcast on Spotify, on YouTube, and on Google Play. Is that yes?
Google Podcast.
Google Podcast.
Yeah.
This has been JT the Talking Head. This has been Terminurtle. You are still the audience, so know your place, and we will catch you on the next one.
Say goodnight, Teo.
Good morning.
Oh my god.